Hello, I am tatocat and welcome to my channel. Today we are playing Lucid9. Last time we went into our flashback and found out that Bun Bun was dead, Harubanya, and we became Rui, and then we became Yama again, I guess, and things just got more mysterious and whatnot. Now we're here. Alright, let's continue. Well, I guess it's not like I'm going to get any answers by just standing around here. I should head back to my apartment, take another look, see if I missed anything now that I'm actually thinking clearly. Almost a little too clearly, actually. But what's this? I draw nearer to my apartment complex. I notice a line of police cars surrounding the entrance gates, lights flaring and sirens blaring. Oh, it's Shigure and Tonkatsu, officer guy. In the center of their light stands none other than Shigeru Inamoto, deep in conference with a police officer I recognized from my little trip into the forest. As per usual, Shigeru is practically screaming her lungs out with every word. Are you not cognizant of the impetus by which you have come? Officer Kobayashi, the Bureau has contended that this student must be incarcerated under suspicion of the recent homicides. So I'm aware. I harbored my own suspicions. And you contend that such an intellectually impaired ersatz for a humanoid sloth could possess the sophisticated genius necessary to orchestrate the mass murder of his associates. Wait, is she talking about me? Are they talking about me? I bet they're talking about Yahiko, Yama. Because you're there and not over there. If the police are here, if the police are talking about me, they're waiting to arrest me? You know him more than I do. What's your opinion on the matter? Oh shoot, they are talking about me. He was my errand boy. You claim to be good at reading people. Are you saying that you misread the suspect? A muscle in Shigure's jaw twitches. She stuffs her hands in her pockets and mutters something that I can barely catch. I am not wrong. Then you agree that Yama Ishimoto is the prime suspect. What? Would she? Shigure, the legitimate detective? Does she believe that I'm the killer? She wouldn't, right? The emptiness in my chest promptly dissipates, replaced by the pounding fear. If even Shigure believes it, doesn't that mean that it's true? I agree. She agrees. I agree. The universe agrees. I try to step back into the shadows. My feet fumble, and I catch desperately after the wall, staring blankly before me. Are we being gaslit or something? Like, it's so obvious that it's us that it seems like it can't be us, but someone's trying to make it seem like it's us. If that's the case, is it what's his name? Our therapist, Mr. Ryota. I'm glad we're on the same page now. We'll submit a request to Luminous to track his phone. This time, such an act. Wait a second. She said that was beneath the sloth, didn't she? I'm offended. The time such an action would take is too substantial. Barring the convict conveniently shares his locations with us, the process can take up to 48 hours. Then we'd better get started. He motions to several officers standing by. They gather around him in a loose circle. We can also just go up over there and be like, I'm over here. We were going to turn ourselves in, weren't we? Nope, no we're not. Okay. Wordlessly, I turn on my heels and sprint away. Where to? I can't even say. My shoes seem to move automatically, even as my mind stands still. We're going to the murder force, aren't we? Corner here, turn here, stop here. Yeah, that's right. I'm not just an ordinary high school student who woke up from an overlong nap. I'm a murder suspect, a guilty conscience. Someone who holds the phone of the murder victim in his hands after the victim's death. Shigure, she's not the type to lie to protect someone. I should have just suspected that, answered from her. Well, I mean, just because we have the phone, that doesn't mean we did. We could have come across the body, been like, oh, a phone, and then picked up the phone, because we're like, let's be detectives. Then if I accept it, shouldn't I be turning myself in? I grind to a halt at the subway platform, sliding into the nearest bench. Alone in a crowd, isn't that the expression? Hanging around in public is probably the worst place for me to be. As soon as they get a hold of my picture, my face will be broadcasted across the nation. Who knows? Maybe it's already posted on Patter. Maybe Misaki or Yahiko have already stumbled across it, and like Shigure, just like Shigure, turning one by one. Not a friend, not an errand boy, not an academy student. A murder convict. Why wouldn't they leave? Why wouldn't they all just go? Because you're not guilty. The voice is almost deafening in my head, resounding in every corner of my brain. I almost start at the sound. But what I want doesn't matter. The evidence says otherwise. Killings happening at night, the culprit someone who knows the security procedures of the academy well. Someone who can fake sanity too well. What if when I'm sleeping my personality changes and I get up and sneak across town? You know that's not true. Alright, that's enough. Oh! Sparkly stuff! I close my eyes. This reminds me of the background I have kind of on my YouTube channel. Only they're not rainbowy, pinky, purpley, and they're circle instead of square. I close my eyes and quiet my thoughts, waiting for an image to materialize. Sure enough, a familiar figure steps onto the scene. What are you doing here? I'm here to bail you out, kid. You know, last time I checked, you were supposed to be keeping me sane, not, putting voices in my head. I can only keep you sane if there's sanity to keep, kid. Touché. You know, what you're feeling right now, that's dissociation. You're subconsciously alienating yourself from your own emotions due to anticipating future trauma. I know what dissociation is. I like it. You what? It's a painkiller. What isn't there to like? Snap out of it, kid. You can only get to the bottom of this if you dedicate yourself to it 100%. You can't be afraid to feel. I hope you know how cheesy that sounds right now. Will it make you feel? Feel what? Exasperation? You can't give up, kid. Not now. Why not? What's there to discover? Maybe that we're not the killer, Yama. That would be a good thing to discover. Because it means we're not murderers. That I'm a murderer? A fugitive from justice? Look, do you honestly believe that you're the murderer? Yes. Well, clearly you actually don't, or you wouldn't have dragged me here. I love how Mr. Ryota is like a fairy godmother right now. Like, we have the sparkly things. I know this is a pencil, but that could be a wand. Some magic books. Yeah. You got my time for now, kid. Make it worth it. I start a little at the accuracy of this Ryota. I must have spent way too much time with him. So, the null hypothesis is that I'm the serial killer. And the working hypothesis is that I'm not. Good start, good start. What does that mean? It means that I just need to find evidence that I'm not the killer. But you won't settle for that, will you? You want to find out who's really behind all this. I might not even know him. It could be a girl, Yama. Why do you gotta be so sexist? You're kidding, right? There's this huge piece of evidence hanging around right in front of you that... You know what? It's more fun to just watch you figure it out on your own. Why? So you can see me accuse every single person in this game that they're the killer, because that has been what's been happening so far, Mr. Ryoda. I find myself becoming intrigued. How much do I know that I think I don't? Enough to solve what the police with all their resources and brain power and authority still can't. The police are limited by something called bureaucracy, you know. Besides, remember your advantage. My advantage over the police? You have a core piece of evidence that they know nothing about. What might that be? Okay, so we get a choice. Alright, our options are victim psychological profiles. The police could access that. School's gossip. The police could also access that. Haru Bunya's phone. Dashing good looks. They don't have the phone, because we have the phone. I really want to choose this one. But, you know, Mr. Tonkatsu is pretty dashing. So, I guess the police force could have that. This one, Haru Bunya's phone. I have Haru's phone right here with me because it was at my apartment. Bingo! The police don't have his phone in their physical possession, not like you. They don't have the same hints. Now, to be fair, they were buzzing around your apartment like vultures around a cadaver, so something definitely attracted their suspicion. But it's not like anyone else was at Haru's murder besides you and the killer. At least no one who witnessed it firsthand. Not only that, the police didn't come into my apartment until just today. I found this phone just tucked away in my apartment. It had to have gotten there somehow. So whoever put the phone in my apartment knows the code, since there were no signs of break-in. And, well, you're basically saying that the killer is someone close to me because they can access my apartment. Yes, and you don't think that it could be, I don't know, me? Yeah, but we're trying to think of other people who aren't you right now, so no. Well, let's not choose you. Oh, really? Then how did you lure your victims out even though you weren't close to them? Or why didn't you remember taking the phone from Haru, or removing its battery, or putting it in your drawer? Balance of probability remains that you would have remembered at least one of those events. Even so, we are not seriously entertaining this Dr. Jackal and Mr. Hyde play kid. I'm pretty sure it said that in one of the earlier parts, saying that is, are we doing a Dr. Jackal, Mr. Hyde thing? You know your own medical reports. The lapses are a problem with your memory, not your behavior. It could have changed since then. Not likely. Do you even know how sad it is that you're losing an argument with yourself? Just move on, kid. We've only got so much time. Even I have to admit that it's an unlikely scenario. It kind of is. I mean, it seems like you just kind of do things when you're out of it. You haven't done anything outrageous during these lapses. You just do stuff and you forgot that you've done them. Right? So, then what? So, assuming that you're not the reason why Haru's phone is in your apartment, then how did it get there? Well, someone else had to put it there. Right, because it didn't magically poof there. Good. Who and why? The killer, to frame me. That would have been the only other person with access to Haru's phone before the police arrived, and the police wouldn't have planted the phone in my apartment. Hey, now we're getting somewhere. Even if you found the phone, the killer wanted to make certain that you wouldn't know what it was for. Why did that fail? What? Well, you found out that it was Haru's phone because you turned it on. That was clearly not within the killer's plan. So he's saying that the killer didn't know about the wall charging feature, the tracking feature, the voice command feature. We used none of these two things. We didn't use a tracking feature to find the phone. We didn't use a voice command feature either. We used this, the wall charging feature, because remember when Miki dragged us to that thing that we had no real choice in, even though it gave us choices. The killer might have taken out the battery, but he didn't know that I could power the phone just by plugging it into the wall charger. Alright, so that eliminates 2 people. Which means he knows about some technology, but not all. He knows enough to take out the battery, but not enough for the latest features. Good going. We might actually solve this for real. So it's not Yahiko or Miki. See? You already know one thing about the killer, the police don't. Hooray. Let's throw a party. Suck it up, kid. There's another weird thing about Haru's case that you need to remember. Happen to know what it is? The time of death, method of death, the location of death. I want to reread this question. The weird thing about Haru's case, I guess the time's not that weird. I guess getting killed at night is probably normal. The method of death is kind of weird, but I guess it matches the murders. I think the location is weird, because why is he there? In the ghetto. He wasn't there any other time. Like, he's not Natsuki or, Irie. Like, why is he in the ghetto? Oh. We're going with location. By the way, I did get hints. I don't know if those hints were the answers to any of these questions, because I decided to not look at them. I probably won't look at them until I die. And then I'll only glance at them, and then I'll just die until I get it right if I fail the first time I glance at them. Because I guess that's a possibility. He was killed in an alley in District 6, not in the forest. That's also another reason why it's weird. I was going with why is he in District 6, not necessarily with all the other murders were in the forest. Good, and it's a place with too many potential witnesses around. Even though the forest has the police on patrol, it's not like they can secure a large portion of it, much less the entire forest. He probably knows the forest like the back of his hand. He could have easily snuck around them. That's sad truth, but good. Although it would have been risky to take a screaming victim to an area swarming with personnel. Would the forest have been swarming with personnel 2 days ago? Yes. No, there was a major police event. No, there was a prominent accident elsewhere 2 days ago. Oh, there was a prominent accident elsewhere. Because 2 days ago, Shoji was killed, right? That was 2 days ago, right? This is one of these two. I wouldn't necessarily say that was a police event. Because a police event would be like a stick-up or something like that. But this was an accident sort of thing. I'll go with no, there was a prominent accident elsewhere. The police can't be everywhere at once. Oh? That day was also the day of Shoji Hasegawa's death, right on the subway tracks. And I can't imagine that the group at the forest would be anything more than a skeleton crew. Well, technically those would be two entirely different divisions. One's with violent crimes, the other is probably with civil affairs or something. Usually, yes, but might have been reported as a murder. Yuhiko was arrested and interrogated for it. Did you see how easily he walked out of it? Must have been a witnessed interrogation. And I was a suspect. Well, it's either that, or his parents were influential enough to. Okay, we're getting off topic here. Let's just do it like this. It's likely that it was handled by a violent crimes division because it involved the death of another academy student in the wake of multiple student disappearances. Furthermore, there were 3 witnesses at the scene: you, Yuhiko, and Rui, and all of you are also academy students. Happy? Why didn't I think of that? Technically, you just did, because we're talking to ourselves, Yama. You legit just thought about that just now, because this isn't really Mr. Ryota. You just did, see? So, why does that matter? The forest was still a fairly viable option, and at the very least, it would be away from the overly inquisitive citizens. Then why was Haru still murdered in District 6? I guess it'd mean that the killer wasn't entirely in charge of his circumstances. Things didn't happen according to his plan. So, then the question we must ask is this: why and how was Haru murdered? I can't answer all that. You're killing me over here, kid. Fine, I'll rephrase it. Remember how every victim previously logged in for curfew before they disappeared? Oh, yeah. But Haru didn't. He was away from school even before curfew tolled. See? Something's weird. Besides the obvious break-in pattern. Holy smokes, kid. The pattern is odd. Why would the killer kidnap students after curfew? Let's say I'm your everyday Joe. Well, everyday psychopathic Joe. I need to kill a couple people here and there, and for reasons unknown, it has to be a bunch of kids at this super uptight private school. When would I choose to strike? After curfew? Tell me why that's an obvious disadvantage, ignoring the obvious security problems. It would. It would take place in the hard-to-see dark campus, limit suspect pools, delay sleep patterns. I don't think the killer cares about their sleeping patterns. Because I'm sure the killer's like, man, I can't kill him because it's really going to mess up my sleep schedule, and that's just going to affect my life too much. I gotta murder these kids on time. No. Take place in a hard-to-see dark campus. That's an advantage. Because that means people can't see you. Limit the suspect pool. This one. Because these other ones aren't really viable options. Because if you wanted to kidnap a bunch of kids, you'd want it to be dark and hard to see. Because if it was bright and easy to see, then people would see you. And you would get caught. So, limit the suspect pool. Because security locks down the school after curfew, only a few people can be out and about. The suspects would be limited to students or maintenance staff, like the janitor or security team. Good. Hardly ideal circumstances for a killer. So pretty safe to presume that he wouldn't act after curfew unless he absolutely needed to. Which means that Harubanya missing curfew was his own choice, because if the killer kidnapped him before curfew, then why didn't he do so to the other students? Unless this time was an exception. Hey, everything can be an exception. You'll never get working theory that way. Now let's think about this. Haru skips curfew while the killer is confined. Night falls. Unlike the other victims, Haru is out of school, but still ends up being killed. He probably thought he would be safer if he wasn't confined to curfew. Oh no, you don't think that? You think he went looking for the killer. There's no proof of that. I wouldn't say that. It's easy enough to stay safe in public. 24-hour fast food restaurants with CCTVs, public hospitals, even the police department for crying out loud. The killer might know the school security system like the back of his hand, but he can't control all of Isamu. And Haru didn't seem like the stupid type. So, just so... coincidence? Probably not. Good boy. But if that's the case, why wouldn't he tell anyone his suspicions? You tell me. No proof, probably. Because he didn't have any. He was just going to tell the first guy who left the school. And on that note, why didn't he notify the police that he was going to take such a risky action? Same reason we didn't notify the police. We didn't think the police would listen to us. Why wouldn't he notify the police? Why wouldn't he indeed? This is what you want me to feel. Correction, this is what you want you to feel. Because I have to understand what Haru is thinking. You only don't understand Haru because you're distancing yourself too much. It's time to get real, kid. Check the phone of yours. Check my phone? Ah. I stumble on my concentration in a disoriented mess. Still in the subway, which is now completely empty. How long have I been thinking? I peer around the abandoned platform, nothing but soft flickering of dim lights. Well, I guess it makes sense. This isn't exactly a major station. A dull vibration in my pocket of my pants redirects my attention. Oh, that's right. My phone must have been vibrating all this time. From Shigure, probably, to lure me someplace or another, or some teacher to warn me on my absence, maybe even a friend who's wondering where I've been. It probably was vibrating from the moment I entered the subway, vibrating incessantly. Commotion. I tend to shut it out when I'm overwhelmed, distancing myself from reality, as Mr. Ryota would call it. Childhood trauma, learned behavior, coping mechanism. One moment the world is there, and the next it's just me alone with the figureheads inside my brain. A caricature of Mr. Ryota to help me think better. Or a caricature of Rui to stabilize my emotions. Such extremes haven't been necessary for years. After all, what excitement happens in high school? Gossip, relationships, and bullying? But now, I'm distant. I feel it in myself, something hollow, cold, something that apparently couldn't even notice the vibration of my own phone. Well, I guess I eventually noticed. I humor myself and scroll through the notifications, daily mundane life, I expect. Okay, we're answering why it's still vibrating. There we go. It's from Akira. Sarge, hate to disturb your thoughts in your slumber, but have you seen your destined princess? Dude, have you seen Rui? Oh crap, Rui got kidnapped. Is Rui with you? Rui, MIA after school, respond ASAP. Whoa. Well, I didn't expect the bright white light. Rui is missing. I don't even realize it, but my fingers weaken and my phone slides through the space between my knuckles and turns end over end. Clatters to the ground and the shrill impact of fine glass against concrete echoing down the hollow, utterly abandoned passage in which I sit. Rui, missing. Rui is missing. It starts out as a disappearance, 3 times a disappearance from school, a mysterious vanishing after a logged curfew. No one can find them, no one can contact them. Phones are tracked and found in garbage disposal. CCTV footage turns up corrupted or deleted or looped. Then bodies are found, peeled, sliced, ripped apart, the mutilated remains of what was once a human being. What if one of those bodies, one of those victims, someone who gave terrible rending screams that only went unheard, was Rui? Waking up in a cold dark, greeted by a pale, croaking voice, seeing nothing but the sheen of a blade in the moonlight, something that saws through flesh. I force my shaky breath into my lungs as my chest constricts, the world pulses. Rui is the next victim. An afternoon disappearance, another break in the pattern. One more shaky breath, my vision spins. Rui is with the killer, with someone whose mask is perfect, who disappears without a trace, who eludes the police without effort, like everything is just a game. Someone who isn't caught by an army of highly trained officers of law enforcement. Someone whom I could never dream of catching. Rui's going to die, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just a 17-year-old kid hiding in the subway like a homeless beggar, a refugee from police custody. Rui's smile, her teasing, her nagging, gone, just like that. Another person who deserved to live so much longer. Pull yourself together. Oh, it's Elizabeth. Moping around doesn't help anyone. If you want to be useful, then be useful. Lizzie. Figures I'd see you. You like to challenge me. Guess this time wouldn't be any different. So, things aren't hopeless. What amazing advice do you have for me? This comes almost mockingly. A crushing weight has filled the space that was once empty and shock. I have nothing left but sarcasm and cynicism. And we're back to Mr. Ryota. In response, Elizabeth's image flickers into Mr. Ryota. There's still a key that you have to remember about Haru's case. A key? Recall it. How did you stumble on the killer in the first place? Haru sent me a location ping. It's only after the sentence spills out with too much ease that I realize its irregularity. Haru sent me a location ping? We're not even close. Not only that, but there was barely any time between the location ping and his death. So somehow, in his last moment, just before he died, he decided to send a location ping to me. I fervently racked my brain for an answer. Would Haru really do that? Would he really put the fate of his life on me? I scanned through the flowcharts of known ways people socialize in my head, but it turns up blank. My brain is freezing. I can't see beyond the mental image of stumbling on Rui's body, cold and bloody, mouth open with last remnants of a scream. No. Haru, location ping. Why would he send it? Why would blood, terror, the crushing force of water? No, stop, must think. I force all the habits from excessive therapy sessions into practice. Deep breaths, tall spine, tense all muscles, and relax totally from top to bottom. Her life is at stake. Rui could die any minute. Maybe she already has. Or maybe she's cramped up in whatever sick place the psycho has waiting, and dreading the moment when nothing will be on her mind but excruciating pain. Damn it. Mr. Ryota bleeds into Elizabeth, flickers for a moment, and bleeds into Misaki. Yama? I can't do this anymore, Miki. Please just leave me alone. I know this is hard, but right now, you're the one who's with the best chance at finding the killer. Because of this damn phone? You know what? Fine. I can't handle this on my own. I'm giving it to the police. Won't they just arrest you? Yeah, but they'll find out that I'm not the real killer. Or they'll see that you have the murder victim's phone with you, Yama. But they have to trust your word that someone else put that phone in your apartment rather than you taking it from Haru himself. It could take days, maybe weeks to clear the situation, even if you are eventually found innocent. And by that time, Rui will be dead. Miki, please, help me. Rui, don't you love Rui? She needs us. In that case, do you remember whether someone sent you an out-of-place location ping? I've received and sent too many damn location pings to keep track of. Maybe you can narrow it down. Or maybe you can start using your head. Before Harubanya, was there anyone else who accidentally sent you a location ping? Misaki did. Actually, now that she mentions it, I remember something. A location ping from Miki. Did we arrange something? I don't recall any recent conversations with her. Yeah, it was you, actually. You sent me a location ping by accident. You mistapped because my name was right under... Wait, mistapped because my name and his name are right next to each other. Yahiko Yukari. When I think about it, everything fits too well. Yahiko Ikari, who started the Happy Club and is connected with 3 recent deaths, Akane, Shoji, and Haru, and before that, he also knew Midori and Toma. And he would know a lot about the Academy's security and technology, maybe even more than the average faculty member, being the son of higher-ups at Lionsgate. And I've seen how, in the blink of an eye, he can shift from joy to depression, almost as if he has perfect control over how he wants his emotions to be seen. And he knows me, knows the code to my apartment, knows my schedule, knows my actions and my reactions, and he was there. At the murder of Haru, Yahiko Ikari was there. He had coincidentally run into me, seemed flabbergasted that I was there, so kindly offered to cover for me. Yahiko Ikari, my former roommate, my friend. But he would know about the phone, wouldn't he? Like, the fact that it charges on the wall? Well, isn't that just so damn typical? The serial killer can't just be some random chump off the street. No, he has to be someone close to me. But as my fury intensifies, as black anger, nausea, everything solidifies, the blood in my body, Misaki's image fizzles into Misato. What kind of friend you are, man? You know it ain't Yahiko. You known him for 2 years. I spit bitterly. Yeah, give me some proof. I'd love to believe it. For starters, you got no proof that some big shot organization just hacked out your lock. Might be tough for one person, but ain't even a sneeze for a team of pros. So you're saying that the serial killer could actually be an organization, and they decided to frame me when I caught one of their members killing Haru in District 6. Well, yeah, something like that. Then something doesn't make sense. If the killer or organization, whatever, weren't close to me, it's weird that I'm still alive. Haru's phone was in my apartment. Academy students are targeting me. I mean, yeah. Me being alive would be the weird part. Because if they were close to me and they killed me, it's a bit suspicious. They could be kind of suspect, right? They would just kill me. They have no reason to not kill me if they're not close to me. So, I'm still alive. It's weird because I'm still alive. Why wouldn't they just kill me? Witness to the crime scene out by myself in District 6. They wanted to frame you, man. Framing someone who's alive does a whole lot more than framing someone who's dead, especially if he can't really defend himself. But that's the thing. How could they know that I couldn't defend myself? Huh? The only people who could possibly know about my lapses are the ones who are close to me. Really close. Rui and Misaki for sure. Maybe you and Yahiko. Which means our killer could only have been one of those 4 people. What about Mr. Ryota? He's close to you, he would know about your lapses. It can't be Rui. It can't be Misaki. And well, I'm pretty sure it can't be you either. But you don't think that way for Yahiko. To be fair, given that the only one in there that doesn't really know about technology is Masato? Masato would have been the answer out of those 4. You want me to list the evidence alphabetically or chronologically? I can't believe it, but Yahiko actually fits. Let me ask you one more thing, man. Do you really think Yahiko's the serial killer? I just told you that. Do you really believe, like you believe the sun will rise every morning and I'll badger you into track every day, that Yahiko's the man? No. I don't. I honestly don't. Everything goes against him, but for some reason I just can't imagine that Yahiko would be the serial killer. But isn't that shallow-minded? Isn't that foolish? Couldn't my reluctance lead to Rui's death? Right then. Masato's image fizzles into Akira, who drops an energetic finger in my direction. Right, oh cheerio, time to think of this from another angle. We got ourselves some tricks up our metaphorical sleeves, Sarge, so don't give up yet. Yeah, no offense, but you're not exactly the person I want for logical thinking. Oh, but what you need and what you want are 2 completely different things, like dying versus not dying. Well, what do you suggest? Well, you have a suspect now, right? Don't flip the turtles out before you've proved whether he's guilty or innocent. That's like counting your chickens before the avian flu strikes and wipes them all off the face of the planet. So, find proof of Yahiko's innocence. Easier said than done. Much easier said than done. Oh, I wouldn't say that, Sarge. You got some things doing in that brain of yours. Such as... Akira suddenly morphs into Misaki. Don't you remember how the killer forgot about the phone's wall-charging feature? Yahiko loves technology as much as I do. Not to mention that his parents work at Limnescape. If you were the killer, do you really think you would have forgotten something so simple? That's, well, right. But by itself, it's pretty weak. Misaki fizzles out, following Elizabeth to take center stage. And think, what does Haru's misstep really imply? Remember? In the panicked last moments, he was attempting to send a location ping to Yahiko, but his finger slipped on you instead. Oh, of course, yeah, why would he send his location to his killer? Why didn't I see that before? Haru was trying to send his location ping to Yahiko to distract him, bait him, get help. I don't see how getting a location ping would distract him in the midst of being stabbed. I also don't see how it would bait him in the midst of him being stabbed. Get help seems like it's the more practical choice. I wanted to let Yahiko know that he was in danger. If Yahiko saw that he was in District 6, well, I think that even Yahiko would know something was wrong. Correct. Also, Haru must have eventually been able to get a signal through, because he showed up, even if it was after me. Not only that, but he had already called the police. I'm trying to help you, dude. You have to get out of here now. Why would I? Go leave. Which means that your entire basis for suspecting Yahiko Ikari is now null and void. A little part of me relaxes before I realize that this doesn't actually solve anything. Rui's gone and I'm nowhere closer to discovering the killer than I was before I started thinking. Rui is still in danger. I'm still a runaway convict. The serial killer is still running amok, having his little grim parties. Is there nothing I can do? Nothing? Wait 1 moment. Think, why did Haru not notify the police before he began tailing the killer? Like me, he is a capable individual. We don't just miss such things. Why indeed? Why wouldn't Haru have requested backup, or at least given an anonymous tip? He doesn't trust the police. He didn't want to alert the killer lost access to his phone, but he had access to his phone. He has no reason to not trust the police. And he had his phone with him. So I would assume he didn't want to alert the killer. Because if he's tailing the killer, and he's trying to get the killer, and if he called the police, he would have to actually talk to the police. Maybe he thought that if he spoke with the police, the killer would somehow learn about it and start playing safe. But that leads to a different assumption. The assumption that the killer would somehow learn about any information told to the police. In other words, that the police are corrupt. If that's the case, then it makes sense why Haru wouldn't contact them. Simply put, he didn't trust them. Didn't trust them? Why? A personal traumatic encounter, previous difficulties dealing with law enforcement? Or could it be something else? Could it be that Haru saw something in the police, something that he never could forget? You know him more than I do. What is your opinion on the matter? He was my errand boy. You claim to be good at reading people. Are you saying that you misread the suspect? I am not wrong. And you agree that Yama Ishimoto is the prime suspect. I agree. Could Haru have seen corruption? Why is it that a student was the first one to think of camping outside the school and tailing the serial killer? Why is it that the investigation force didn't even go through the school, scouring the area for any evidence on the killer? Why is it that no city CCTV ever turned up with any results? What if all this time, sitting behind the curtains, watching us dance, the police was just there, laughing, watching us run in fear, as they pretend that they're trying to protect us? And that would mean Haru died for nothing. Yahiko called for nothing. And now, Rui will disappear, will be shredded to pieces, will be left to rot for nothing. And there's nothing, not one damn thing, that I can do. Catch the killer, find the evidence, package him up and ship him to the police department, and he'll just walk free because it was all part of the plan. Or worse yet, they won't even catch him. They'll have him surrounded and he'll miraculously break free, and they'll give chase like a bunch of fools. And Rui will die for nothing. Rui, with her fiery passion and her love and her endless enthusiasm for her dear ones, will pass into the fate of nihilism, where there's no intrinsic value, no purpose, no beneficial weight to her sacrifice for me. She'll be remembered, maybe by a memorial for victims who were targets of a horrifying serial killer who will maybe one day be brought to justice. That would be her only identity, a murder victim, a girl who had her whole life ahead of her. One more poor soul in the knolls of injustice. No one would know her smile, or her little quips, or the way she bit her lip when she was nervous about something. No, the name Rui Hayata would only bring nods of pity and despondent sighs. And if she's really lucky, fuel for a movement, or treatment of mental illness, or weapon control, or some other political objective. And then as days pass on, as time becomes months and years and decades, she'll be forgotten forever. Drowned out in the names of other victims who'll be remembered with nothing but nods and pity and despondent sighs. Nothing but non-existence. Irie suddenly appears and stares at me with such intensity that I swear she's almost real. Do not lose focus. Her image blurs with the edge rounding out, hair turning orange and... Gosh, you're a wreck. What happened? I open my mouth. A feeble, untangible noise pleads out. You try to do too much, Yama. That's the problem. You want to do everything, but everything becomes so overwhelming that you just end up doing nothing. You can only do what you can. The rest is out of your hands. I can only do what I can. Yeah, and right now, all you can do is figure out who the killer is. You're up for that much, right? So, you're stuck because you think the killer has to be you, me, Yahiko, or Masato, right? I guess. My voice now comes out very small. I squash the temptation to reach out, touch her jacket, her hair, anything. Because right now, she's not real. Right now, she might even be... Are you paying attention? No. Wow. I think I finally know what it's like to be one of your teachers. I cough out a cross between a chuckle and a snort. It's so close to reality, but it's not. Then, oh all-knowing teacher, what do you have to say? Well, your passcode is literally so stupid that anyone who saw it just once could get in. But that's not the problem. The problem is that the killer knows about my lapses. No, wait. There's something strikingly familiar with what she said. Didn't she mention this before? Didn't she say something like this before? There's something vaguely important about that statement. Your passcode is literally so stupid that anyone who saw it just once could get in. What sticks out so much? Your passcode, anyone, just once. Just once. In that sentence, your passcode isn't that important. Anyone. Yeah, but that doesn't really work here. Just once. All it takes is just once. Anyone who saw it just once is the important part. Oh, I got an achievement for that. The clock is ticking. Does that mean I'm right? Or does that mean I failed? I guess I'll find out. Just once. She'd been talking about someone who had seen my code just once. Someone who commented on how stupid it was. Well, we will stop here for this episode. We'll find out where this is going. This is getting really good. I'll see you next time. I'm tatocat. If you haven't already, comment, subscribe, like. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon.